Hello my dear friends, you're on the Military Summary channel, and today we will discuss the situation in Ukraine on the 10th of September. Today we have a lot of very interesting updates, so let's start. And we can say that today was the best ever, the second best ever day for the Russians in the territory of Ukraine. Something must be changed. You may ask what the Russians should change. To tell the truth, I don't know. But I believe that if they're not going to change anything after their situation, that means that there is no need to continue this special operation. Because the Ukrainians managed to collect a big number of infantry. Some sources are saying, joking, of course they're joking, that now the Ukrainians, they have so big army that the Ukrainian military authorities can give them just stones. And this army is able to crack the Russians' defense orders just with stones because there are so much of them. Furthermore, if we're talking about the regular situation today, I read, and I suppose that many of you also saw these updates, that Ukrainians managed to collect a very powerful fist on the south of Ukraine, in Zaporozhye district, in this area. And as far as I understand, the Ukrainians are planning to start the fourth counter-offensive operation from this bridgehead in direction of Mariupol. First they will attack Volnovakha, and then they will split their army, and the first army will go in direction of Mariupol, the second one will try to blockade Volnovakha, not to allow the reinforcements from Donetsk to attack in the flank. Maybe it's some kind of speculation, maybe the Ukrainians are trying to create this news just for one purpose, to pin down the Russians in this area, to be on the safe side and not to leave this area. Because if the Ukrainians are able to repeat in the south of Ukraine the same situation as they did on the north, that means that after 6 months the Russians, they achieved some success, but we understand that they are able to lose everything they achieved during these 6 months. And if we're talking about military, it's their job to do this, like to lose, to win, to kill, or to be killed. I repeat my words, the words, that the most difficult situation and the most terrible situation is about civilians, about filtration process, about the lines on the border of Russian Federation, like I'm talking about Vovchansk, I'm talking about Troitsk, I'm talking about all the towns that located on the border between Russia and Kharkiv district and LPR district, where the lines of Ukrainians who believed during these 6 months, the Russians, who started building their new life, they started cooperation, they started to work with the Russians, and now they don't have any other option but to run away with the Russians. And it's terrible. It's terrible because everybody understands what the Ukrainians are planning and can do with these peoples. There would be no mercy, believe me. There will be no mercy, and that's why these people, they are leaving this area, and it's a big tragedy. Now let's talk about the progress and so on. Yesterday I told you that the front line has been stabilized, but I did a mistake. The front line has been stabilized. I see that maybe a little bit today we have some stabilization, because the Russians decided and took a decision to leave the west side of river Oskol River, this river I'm talking about, to cross this river on the east side and try to stop the Ukrainians on this line. And of course, we didn't have a lot of updates. We had some informational lag during these days, some insufficiency of information, and we were expecting for any updates from the Russian military authorities. And today, finally, we got somewhere at the noontime the report from Ministry of Defense, and they told us that the Ukrainians started regrouping. We saw such kind of regrouping at the beginning of the special operation on the north of Ukraine, near Kiev, when the Russians did regrouping. And by the way, that regrouping was connected with Izium, with this town. If you remember that as soon as the Russians took control over this town, Like the next day, they announced about regrouping from the north. They left these territories and moved all their forces in this direction, trying to develop their offensive operation in this area, trying to crack the Donetsk region and return this area to the Donetsk People Republic. But today we saw the entire collapse of Russian front line. And sometimes, to tell the truth, I can't explain what did happen. Of course, most of the Russian military experts are saying about the number of Ukrainians who was involved in this operation. So the Russians left the middle part. Let's split this area in three parts. The north part, the area between Vovchansk, Veliki Burluki and Kupetsk. This is the first part that located on the north of this line. This middle part, the second part, is the area between this line and Balakleya. This is the second part. And the third part is Izum bridgehead, this one. So this is three parts, 1, 2, and 3 parts of this operation. The Ukrainians managed to break through the middle part, this one. They cracked this area, they pushed the Russians, and the Russians tried to use the artillery systems and aircrafts and helicopters as much as possible. And today the Ministry of Defense of Russian Federation reported that during this regrouping, during this evacuation, they managed to destroy up to 2,000 of Ukrainian soldiers on this offensive operation. It's nothing, to tell the truth. I don't know about the real number of Ukrainians who was involved in this operation. I suppose that the number is very big. Furthermore, the Russians attacked Chiguyev. They reported about this attack as well, and as a result of attack, Krakin 92nd and as far as I remember 54th brigades lost up to 300 soldiers. And yesterday I told you that the front line has been stabilized and that the Russians still controlled Izum, the entire Kupiansk, at least the west part of this town, and the north. So the Russians lost just the middle part. Furthermore, there were a lot of updates that the Russians started some counter-offensive operation from this small town Sinkova in the south direction, trying to encircle the mobile Ukrainian commandos group. But this morning we got update that the Russians left Izum. To tell the truth, I understand that the pressure of Ukrainians was so big, so that forced the Russians to make a very difficult decision. The thing is that there was a lot of chances, very high risk that Ukrainians would continue their counter-offensive operation. As I understand the situation, there were two scenarios in this operation. At least the Russians understand them. The thing is that this river, Oskol, at this period of time is very low. And there is no difficulties to cross this river on the tanks without building any pontoon bridges or something like this. At least I got this information from military experts who is on the ground in this area. So it's not very difficult to cross this area and to continue your offensive operation from this side in direction of Starobelsk. It's not a problem, at least in direction of Slatova, Starobelsk. And the Russians, as I see, understood that very well. They couldn't bring enough of reinforcement. They didn't prepare the fortification trenches on this side of the river, the fortification that they can use to stop the Ukrainians. So that's why they did a very difficult decision, at least two decisions. Their main goal of the Russians in this situation was to reduce the pressure, to reduce and to stretch the Ukrainian fist that were moving in the middle part of this area. And there were just two ways how to do this. The first way is to start counter-offensive operation, to attack this area, to drop your own forces in front of them, and to start the ground battle, close combat, like during the Second World War or something like this. But the Russians understood that they don't have such possibilities because they need to save their soldiers. If they want, they will return here any way they want. But for now, they need to save their soldiers. So as far as I understand, they decided to do some trick. They decided to report and to start some informational war, that they decided to leave the north, the first one area, and the third one, Izum. So they reported that they're leaving these areas. And of course the Ukrainians they understand. They also don't have a lot of, they have a very big number of forces in this area, but they understand that, of course, also this crossing can be, they can have a lot of losses during this counteroffensive operation anyway. So that's why, and they see that the Russians report about leaving the third area and the first area. So that's why they decided to stretch their forces in the middle part to reduce the pressure and to send one group to the north and the second group to the south. And with help of this, the Russians managed to reduce the pressure. They didn't stop the counteroffensive operation. They didn't solve the issue. There are still very high risks that the Ukrainians, as soon as they handle with the north part and the south part, they will collect the force one more time and continue their offensive operation. Very high risk. But at least for now, this temporary leaving of this territory, maybe not temporary, but maybe the Russians left this area for ages. Anyway, that this leaving of these territories forced the Ukrainians to split and stretch their forces and to reduce the pressure on the middle part in direction of Kupiansk. And of course, with help of that, the Russians won some time. Maybe hours, maybe days, I don't know, but they supposed and they thought and they think that this time they won by leaving the north and giving the Ukrainians the north and the south part. They will win enough of time, and this time is going to be enough to prepare the defense line on the river Oskol, this one. If you take a look at this map, you're going to understand that now the Russians are want to stop the Ukrainians on the river Oskol, and this river moves to the south, and on the south it connects with Seversky Donetsk, our famous Seversky Donetsk river. And then this river moves to the west in direction of Lysychansk. And the Ukrainians understand this as well, and they continue their offensive operation in direction of Liman and in direction of Kremenaya from this area. Liman and Kremenaya. But today I'm not going to say that the Russians stabilized the front line, because today we see that sometimes you think one and in a minute you receive a totally different information. But if we're talking about the facts, for now we still haven't got any confirmation from the Ukrainian side that they managed to take Liman or Kremenaya or Yampol as well. So the Russians are trying to stop the Ukrainians on this front line. They prepared some fortifications, some front line, and trying to stop and to stabilize the front line in this area, exactly in this. Because if Ukrainians are able to crack Liman, from that very moment, we can say that entire north of LPR is going to collapse, because the Russians don't have any possibilities to hold the Ukrainians longer, because they will be able to move any direction they have, and the Russians don't have fortifications, trenches on this front line. They will just run away till the border, and they will lose everything they got during this special operation since March. And they will lose Lysychansk and Severodonetsk as well. Furthermore, if we're talking about the Russians, about the Wagners, we got a lot of dates that they're storming Bakhmut. I can't, if we're comparing the Ukrainian operation and the Russian operation, I can't even call this operation as a storm. They're doing something in this area, like shelling and so on. But the Ukrainians, they reported they managed to collect these forces on this front line, and now they're trying to attack in the direction of Lysychansk. And if you take a look at this map, you're going to see that the west source map has been updated, showing this AK-47 icon, showing that the Ukrainians are attacking in the direction of Lysychansk. And to tell the truth, I can't tell you if the Russians are able to hold this position, hold this town. Maybe they will be forced to move on that side of the river Seversky Donetsk one more time. And maybe they will have to start everything from the beginning. And this is the worst nightmare for the Russians we could ever see in this special operation. If we're talking about Donetsk, the situation is without changes. So the Russians are pushing, shelling, trying to destroy the Ukrainians' fortification and trenches without any progress. About the south, we just discussed. The Ukrainians managed to collect their fist, and maybe soon we're going to see, maybe even these days, another counter-offensive operation in this area in direction of Mariupol and Volnovakha. And if Ukrainians start, and if they are able to penetrate, it will be the entire collapse of this operation. And to tell the truth, I don't know what to say, if it's possible. But for now, let's stick to facts. And the facts are saying that since today, the Ukrainians, they took a lot of territories, but they were taking the territories where the Russians left. Because we understand, if Ukrainians were able to encircle Izum with its army, it will be a disaster for the Russians. And they left this area because they understand that there is a very high risk that the Ukrainians still have possibilities to crack the middle part. And in this case, this entire army will be encircled, and that would be disaster. Now the Russians need to start everything from the very beginning. At some point, they will stop the Ukrainians. I'm sure about this. There is no doubt, at least from my side. But where the Russians are able to stop this Ukrainian machine, I don't know. And if we're talking about the south, somewhere like half an hour before I start recording this video, I got an update that the Russians started some kind of local counter-offensive operation near Snegirivka, near towns Bobrovy Kut, Krasnobelsk, this one. They attacked to the north, and of course their main goal in this situation to destroy this bridgehead. They will try to go to the north, and after that they will try to cut this bridgehead and at least to push Ukrainians from this area and to return control over this area, like to destroy this bridgehead and not to give any bridgehead for the Ukrainians on this side of this Ingulets River. Of course, the Ukrainians still have a lot of possibilities near Vysokopolye, but it's not a totally different situation. So this situation, and I understand that the battle for Liman is the most important battle for today, because only on this line, on line of Kupiansk and line of Liman, the Russians managed at least a little bit to slow down the Ukrainians. And if the Russians loses Liman, they will lose everything on the north, and maybe they will lose Lysychansk and Severodonetsk once again. So this is the most important town, Liman, and the small town Kremenaya. These two towns are the most important. And the Russians need to do everything but to keep this area. If they are able to keep this area, they will be able to move reserves in this area, to move more reinforcement, to stabilize the front line, and to start everything from the beginning. Because, as I told you, army is nothing. It's people's choice to be volunteers or to be to join or not to join this army. It's like their decision. The most important, always, every time, is civilians. And even if the Russians were defeated, really defeated, and it's not a joke, anyway, they owe to these people. Because these peoples, they believed the Russians. Because if you remember, the Russians told that we came forever. And if we're talking about this area, everything is solved and we understand everything. But what to say people who's located in Mariupol? Do these people from Mariupol from now are able to believe the Russians? They can't believe them anymore. Because they have a very nice example of Balaklia. They have a very nice example of this small village Ivanovka that located near Chkalovskaya. This one, Ivanovka. I saw pictures of the head of this village. He started to cooperate with the Russians. I saw the pictures of that man. This poor guy. I don't think that he will survive till the fair court. I don't think that he is already alive. I don't think so. And can people from Kherson believe the Russians now? Yes, of course they can. It's up to it's their own decision. But a lot of them first will ask and demand the Russians, if you want us to join the Russian Federation, to be on your safe side, then you should first think about our protection. It's the second Bucha, this situation. There were a lot of people near Kiev who believed the Russians, start cooperation with them, because they didn't have any other option. Because you're a young woman with a small kids and you need to eat. And the only one way to get food in Irpin or let's say Dimir, with the towns that were under Russian control, to cooperate with the Russians. And she did this. And what did she had later? I'm not talking about the current person. I'm talking about the situation. They were killed. And I don't know who killed them. And now we see the same situation here. And on every territory that is under Russian control. Can these people believe the Russians? Yes, they can. Should they believe? Yes, they should. But will they do this? Some of them will, but a lot of them won't. And that's it for today. Military Summary channel reminds you that you can condemn any violence in Ukraine. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to my channel, put your likes, join my Patreon, and have a good weekend. Bye bye.